How's it going? Welcome, welcome. Welcome to Talk About Our Feelings, where we talk about our feelings. Welcome, welcome. We're talking about community today and the way that the different dynamics, the ins and outs of that. And I felt that would be particularly poignant in light of recent events. And we're just flying around peacefully and having awesome, good evening. Good evening. We're just flying around peacefully and discussing things that help put mental health and mental dynamics and social dynamics into context, which, in my case, I lost a lot of growing up. I was very sheltered, and so socially I lost out a lot, and so now I find comfort in connecting the dots between things which might seem obvious to others and things that I already understand. And so that brings me to the topic at hand, which is community, right? When we're talking about what it means to be in a community, that says nothing of what it means to a single individual to be in that community. For me, obviously, the subjective experience of a community is far more valuable, I think. And now looking at what it means to experience each other, I feel like there's a lot to be gleaned from that, so I'd love to discuss that with all y'all. So when I say the word community, what comes to mind? Just throw some stuff in the chat. Yeah, exactly. Sir Jonas Jeffus says, interesting that you mentioned community, particularly in terms of the value of Twitch, because that's why I poked my head in here, to be honest. Exactly. Twitch is a very unique and vibrant community, and it deserves to be, I think the people on it deserve for it to be its best. I think we should take the opportunity to create something unique to us, and cause the objective experience of that community to reflect the subjective experience of the people within it, if that makes sense. I think in the sense of, we wouldn't want, I think ultimately safety, let's talk about like tenets of things that are important for a community to be not only survive but thrive, things that we want to see. Why don't we take Twitch as an example, right? We wouldn't want like, let's say, Nazis or weird hate groups or whatever on the platform, because they harm people, right? And that's like the basic 101 thing, right? But then, like, let's getting into the more nitty gritty of it. Let's say we take a look at the functional aspects. Let's take a look at the functional aspects of how Twitch enables a community to be its best. There's a lot of functionality, even more than I understand. And I'm grateful that it exists, because it gives me a sense that when a platform like this breaks down community, certainly for people like me, it allows me to be able to understand it better. Because then people, like me, who suffer from kind of a backlog of social questions that they never got answered, it becomes inclusive. And I think that's another thing that's important for a community, is inclusivity, right? If we start gatekeeping who's good, who can come, who can't come, if we start gatekeeping the concepts that make us a community, on the one hand, there's a place for identity, of course, but I think ultimately the identity is more individualistic in a white hat scenario. It's less identity, because then even if you were to achieve such an identity, like a group identity, it would become stifling to those within it, for one thing, right? Then it becomes persecutorial for those who don't fit the mold, right? And so now the community is turning on its own, and then the question becomes, okay, well, fucking, if it's turning on its own, then what is the community? The community, to me, says, I think each person should identify their own identity based off of, each person is in charge of identifying themselves, and then from that, it's a group exercise, I guess one might say, to practice inclusivity of difference, and that's a key. I don't know about the key, but it's a key. Sir Jonas Jeffis says there's real value and genuine benefits to being part of different stream communities, but I had a genuine friend I've made through Twitch who I value, but it's difficult to truly know if that value is truly reciprocal. Right, exactly. That's another aspect. What's the word? Pseudo-social? Is that what it is? I think I'm messing that up. Parasocial. There we go. A parasocial relationship where you're, rather than actually engaging with people who value you, right? Who would be interested in spending time with you in real life, who wouldn't be afraid to or feel a need to protect themselves from you as a stranger, right? Because anybody can present themselves as anything. I think the question then becomes, okay, well, on the one hand, for me, I've been in many, I don't know if even that's the correct terminology, but I've been in, I've experienced as the parasocial. I've been the parasocial one, looking at those who have, a platform, and having experienced a social deficit as I have, I could hardly have avoided it coming up. But but I think at the end of the day, that's a huge question. Is it beneficial or is it not? Well, I think it's beneficial if all parties involved understand the nature of that relationship, right? I think consent, just like in any negotiation, there is an element of discovering boundary and discovering borderline and discovering, understanding what those things are, and so that you can navigate consent. And in my case, and in the case of parasocial relationship, I think that consent is a huge model by which we can come to terms with the idea that somebody is interested in spending time with you, only in terms of a certain context and for a certain time and in a certain ability. I think we do that as friends anyway. We do that as people. Is we make we make how do I say this? We make negotiations with one another to discover, because once we've discovered where our boundary is, we negotiate with one another to discover where the other person's boundary is, and then move within the context of those boundaries for one another. And I don't see necessarily, as long as all parties involved have their eyes open, that there can't be a similar exchange of negotiation of boundary, right? Which is pretty much the same as any friendship or relationship that you might come across, at least any healthy one, has an element of negotiation in the context of boundary. And you can't ask somebody to care more about you than they want to, and somebody's desire, right, is the impetus of consent, certainly, but it's also the basis for and the driving force of human connection. I would posit. Right. Yes. How much is? Jonas Jeffers says, yes. How much is real? How much is being just another stream viewer? Right. Either implicitly or explicitly, that negotiation happens, though needless to say, usually more fluidly in real life. Yeah. Exactly. Although, in terms of, there's something to be said for finding and understanding, because there's such a thing as a socially vulnerable person, right? Social vulnerability is something that you should, that is worth considering. Certainly in hindsight, because nobody thinks about it, because nobody's responsible for anybody else. But and the person who should be thinking about it doesn't realize it until after they're out of it. But in terms of probably, most likely, I would imagine, in my experience, certainly. But the social vulnerability of a person, where they become it becomes easy to forget that some people are certainly some people are, in fact, not as adept at social things, and they don't have a lot of ability where, you know, that area is concerned. And, you know, I think for those people it becomes a lot more everything is a bigger deal to them when it comes, in my experience, when it comes to, because they have so little in those terms. And so, in the same way, and let me bring this home, what I mean to say is that think about the negotiation of sex, right? There's vulnerability there, and so the more vulnerability, the more care should be taken. And so now, if you look at it in those terms, I mean, I don't, like, I used to think that sex and human, like, it was a magically different aspect of human connection, right? That, you know, there were people who were living life, and then there were people who were having sex. And then those people who are having sex, when they're done having sex, become real people again when they're finished. You know, this is what happens when you're traumatically, you know, separated from the world against your will during formative years. But, you know, I don't know if anybody else, like, relates to that idea, but in my experience, you know, that's not the case. You know what I'm saying? Like, people, like, I feel like it needs to be said that sex as a concept is just another negotiation. And yeah, it's fluid, but it's also more careful if it's healthy. And so now, looking at a person's joie de vivre, you know, a person's, like, feeling, you know, how they live, what they're able to handle, you know, what their social intelligence might be. That experience, I feel, should be taken seriously. Certainly in the context of just as precious as a life that is just as precious as the stakes that are involved in the negotiation of one's own, like, physical boundaries and physical strength, physical desire, and physical position, and person, and identity, and all that. You know, all of those negotiations have the same value because boundary itself is sacrosanct. A person's physical boundary is completely sacrosanct, and that's something that is precious and valuable and needs to be said, needs to be repeated multiple times until everybody understands that boundary is paramount. And from there, relationship can happen. And it need not happen. You know, there is much that can feel high stakes when you're in a socially vulnerable position, as I defined earlier. So, you know, people will make dumb decisions, and those people need to be held accountable for that. However, when you're looking at people who are simply hurting, and don't know what to do, don't know how to be. Those people are just as valuable as any other person in any other negotiation in the world. And there's something precious and valuable and important to seeing people in those contexts, in those terms, that they're valuable, that they're intrinsically worth it, and valuable, and that their boundaries are paramount in every way, even when, and especially when, they inconvenience you. Without question. Without question. Without question. And that's how I view community. From an ant level all the way up to the macro, it's all boundary, it's all negotiation, it's all well, in my personal view, it's, I just there's nothing, it's the thing upon which all human connection is built, and it gives dignity to every person, that their consent, their will is preserved and protected and kept safe. I'm literally trying so hard not to say that boundaries are holy, but in my particular belief system, which I'll keep to myself, thank you, I believe that boundaries are in fact holy, in the sense, not in like, fucking, because some holy text told me so. I just, that word works for me to express to myself, to my own brain, certain aspects of how important boundaries are, and I just feel like that's valuable for me, but that's not for anybody else, really. Just looking for other. I'm coming, chat. I promise. I didn't want to. I was on a roll. I didn't want to. I'm sorry. Thank you for being here. I value you. Hang on. And we're safe, and we're going out. Okay. Sir Jonas Jeffus says, might be worth mentioning to my observation/experience that forming a friendship seems to follow an interruptible process where if people are learning about each other, the growth in that friendship can be easily halted when one party turns their attention elsewhere, and that growth never renews. This seems to be greatly amplified on Twitch. Let's meditate on that. Might be worth mentioning, too, my observation/experience. Forming a friendship seems to follow an interruptible process where if people are learning about each other, the growth in that friendship can be easily halted when one party turns their attention elsewhere, and that growth never renews. This seems to be greatly amplified on Twitch. Jonas Jeffus, can you elaborate on why it's amplified on Twitch? I know there's something to what you're saying. I just want to understand better. Would you mind kind of delving into that a little more with us? What is your experience? And if anybody else in chat feels like, and you don't have to participate, I'm just inviting, feel free to interject or speak to your experience with this as well. Particularly, I would say, in the context of Twitch. But if anything else strikes your fancy, I would love to know your philosophies and the way you see the world, because I feel that that's valuable and so precious. and I wanna hear about it. So I'm excited about it. I'm excited about hearing it. So yeah. So might be worth mentioning. Hang on. Here we go. Might be worth mentioning too my observation/experience with forming a friendship. So let's say somebody's becoming friends, right? Two people becoming friends, and then one person's attention turns elsewhere. The growth in that friendship can be easily halted when one party turns their attention elsewhere, and that growth never renews. Yeah, that can be hurtful, because the loss of connection is hurtful. The loss of, hang on. The loss of when connection is formed, and then think of it in terms of the bonds between cells, for example. Sometimes, as with dead skin cells, it happens over time. It's gradual. Doesn't hurt as much. You hardly ever think about it. Sometimes certain people, you lose touch with them because they weren't. It was no longer serving you. And it was no longer serving them, and you parted ways. And then other, organs, and then, I don't want to, for various reasons, I don't want to delve into wounds as an idea, so let me just mix this analogy up to atoms and atomic things, right? When an electron, and a neutron are like bonded to each other, and then, or like the pieces of the nucleus, right, are bonded to each other, then there's all this pain, this explosive pain when it's ripped from itself, and you split the atom. There were strong bonds that were formed there, and now that those bonds have been, broken, there's, a crater in the aftermath of that, where, there's pain and there's emptiness and there's grief, and you have to grieve that loss. And then, yeah, yeah. Jonas Jeffus says, before I get too much in my feels about my own grief and loss, sure, Jonas Jeffus says, it seems to me that Twitch offers so much so easily in terms of what someone might gravitate towards in any given moment of their lives. One day, a stream or viewer might be crucially important to them, and another day, that importance might even be near irrelevant to what they're looking for. It's important, he says, and healthy, to decide what's important to take with us in life and what to leave behind. However, the vagarious nature of Twitch options means the rapidity of that decision-making process might result in what constitutes a certain type of grieving pain. How on point. That's fantastic. That's nutritious. Let's just bask in that for a moment. The vagarious nature of Twitch options means the rapidity of that decision-making process might result in what constitutes a certain type of grieving pain. Yeah. Yeah. All pain is valid, you know, I think. Not all the ways in which we deal with pain are valid. But if you're experiencing pain, you're experiencing pain. You know what I'm saying? And, like, I have felt that pain. And that's valid, you know? Where... You know, you think to yourself, you know, it's so, like Twitch, if you think about it, the internet is so young, you know, and we ourselves are so young, but we've had a certain amount of time to experience to evolve, I would say, as social beings, into a form where we might not be fully equipped to deal with, to understand and to deal with, and to know what to do with the kind of grieving pain that comes from attachment, right? Like, remember those, the atom, the bonds between the pieces of the atom. To deal with the types of attachments and the types of breaking away that can happen so easily from forming attachments so fast and then losing those attachments just as fast, or even, you know, after a certain amount of time, and then still having it be so fast, and having that be valid and not being able to be mad about that. You see, that's a thing that people do underestimate, is the damage of the idea that can infect one's thinking, you know, that their pain isn't valid, when, you know, even if, if you're in pain, you get to be mad about something, right? But when the person, you know, in my experience, there have been a few different people in my life that never meant to hurt me that way, right? And yet the pain occurred. I experienced it and it was real, and yet there's no reason for me to hold that person accountable for anything, because that person is there's not, like, that person is fine. Whoa, hello. Like, there was nothing wrong with how, like, let's say for you know, for argument's sake, this hypothetical person did nothing wrong, or what they did wrong they didn't understand, right? So clearly something was wrong if, you know, I experienced pain because of it. But what I'm saying is, you know, and there's a place for saying to that person, hey, I know you didn't realize and you didn't understand, and there was something, you know, right, whatever. Would you acknowledge that in spite of your intention, this thing was harmful to me, in whatever, you know, way it was, you know, emotionally, physically, spiritually, mentally, whatever, you know? Would you acknowledge the impact that you had in spite of your intention? And that's, you know, there's a tremendous power in trying to understand, okay, this much is me, this much is them, this much I need from the person, and even if they don't give it to me, I'm able to give it to myself. That's another thing. And I guess not, but at the same time, like, yeah, I don't know. I'm sorry for ignoring chat so long. I apologize. I didn't want to. Jonas Jeffress says, I agree, there is grief with any loss, but on Twitch there often aren't the signals that might be present in real life to perhaps subconsciously prepare us for that potential outcome. Here, I want to focus on it, so I'm going to go way high real quick. Make sure. This game is Just Cause 4. It's beautiful. I like flying around in it. It's peaceful. And it gives me something to help me think, I think. So I'm just going to go there. I'm going to change the view. And Jonas Sheffield says, I agree, there is grief with any loss, but on Twitch there often aren't the signals that might be present in real life to perhaps subconsciously prepare us for that potential outcome. Man, you hit the nail so directly on the head with that. You knocked it out of the park. I'm so stoked that you said that and that I get to experience that. That's fantastic. Wow. That's fantastic. Okay, but like, look at that. Look at that dynamic there. Look at how that is. That's speaking to. There's grief with any loss, but on Twitch there aren't. On the internet, you know, there aren't necessarily signals that might be present in real life to perhaps subconsciously prepare us for that potential outcome. And really, if you're looking at it, let me just steer us in the right direction. Man, not having signals. Man, there is so much. Yeah, I mean, I don't even know if there's anything that needs to be added to that. Like, that's just fantastic. Real quick. Whoops. It's only on Sundays. Only on Sunday. But yeah, like, I think there are so many opportunities that we have the chance to take advantage of only because of the subtleties, the subtle distinctions that might pass unnoticed to a less experienced eye and a less experienced heart. I think there's so much in the world that, you know, were I a few years younger or a few months younger, I might have missed because I didn't possess the requisite knowledge or experience to know what choice I should make. And there's gratitude in that for me, that I get the chance to be ready for what might come. Does that make sense? Because it could just as easily not be that way. You could just as easily not be ready. And I'm saying, nah. Yeah. And I, you know, I don't know. I just feel good about being able to experience the things that I get to experience when I get to experience them, and with the people that I do when it happens, right? And coming back to community, you know, I'm slowly going from the Pokemon mentality, is what I like to call it. Hey, Hanananj10, welcome. Every Sunday we have Talk About Our Feelings at 10. Don't listen to Nightbot. It doesn't happen on Wednesdays because I've decided I run out of things to say if I do it too often. But hey, welcome. Could somebody remind me in a few minutes that I was about to talk about something called the Pokemon mentality, if you wouldn't mind. Hi, Hanananj. I hope I'm not mispronouncing your name too terribly. Hanananj says, I really love weed, and I'm worried that my new job won't allow me to use it. I'm also anxious about passing a drug test. I smoked weed last Saturday. Yeah. I took about 14 tests from the dollar store. They are 98% accurate, and I passed 13 of them. Thank God. Man, that's sick. That's good. That's preferential. Hanananj says, Jonas Jeffers says, I worked at a detox for 18 years, actually. I would say just find out for sure what your company policy is. Hanananj says, I haven't been hired yet. In my state, it's legal. I drank about 1,000 ounces of water. Yeah. Yeah, water's nice. Water's good. I'm wondering if they are testing for other things like heroin or meth. Well, you know, I don't know, man. I don't know. It's a lot to handle. I honestly don't have experience with heroin or meth, but I was sad that I had to give up weed for my medication, my psych medication that I'm taking, because it was contraindicated, and I wanted to feel happy for once. So, in the tech industry, which centers around Microsoft, they don't typically drug test. Nice. Jonas Jeffers says, that is often the case. Only way to find out for sure is to ask. Hanananj says, I have only used weed. Yeah. I mean, I feel your pain. I would say about a year and a half ago, I started using weed for the first time. I'm 27. And like all my brothers smoke it. And it's like, I'm like, well, when I'm ready, I'll be ready, you know. It was more of a, me thing, you know. I wanted to be ready before I really started. Unfortunately, lo and behold, a year later, I started seriously looking for psychological medication to help me with depression and the resulting anxiety from obsessive compulsive personality disorder and complex PTSD. But yeah, I had to say goodbye to weed, and that was terrible. I thought I could do it a couple of times and get away with it. Nah, fam. Fucked me up good. Plus, drinking beer as well. I had to give up, which I don't normally. I was just a social thing, so that was pretty easy. But I do enjoy it from time to time. And drinking on these meds causes an increase in the risk of seizure. So that was a non-starter. And yeah, so basically I just, I feel it. I feel all that about drug, anxieties, the existential terror that comes with having your livelihood threatened by something that causes no harm to anyone, and absolutely should not be a problem as long as it doesn't affect performance, I guess. But yeah, Hanananj says, then I started using it as about a year and a half ago. Whoa! Me too! That's cool. I like that. That's cool. Jonas Jeffus says, I think a good way to determine friendship is to observe whether they are happy for you when you are happy, and listen to you and are concerned for you sincerely when you are struggling. Adding that to my definition of friendship as liking someone, respect, trust, and reciprocity, I think gives a reliable set of indicators to assess whether you are friends with someone. I like you, Jonas Jeffus. You're cool. You put things good. I appreciate the way you put things. Whoops. Anananj says, I never do it at work, ever. I never drive while smoking. I'll go back to weed after I pass this test. I don't want a corporation telling me what to do with my body, especially when it's legal. Like, God. Yeah. Seriously. Goddamn. Live your life. Open a gift shop. Do the thing. I don't know if Jane is here. We have a running joke from one of the previous streams. Do you open a gift shop? Move to Florida. BRB gonna puff. Hell yeah. Yeah. In terms of like, whoops, I'm sorry. I apologize. Family of 4. Yes, so the Pokemon, what was it? Pokemon mentality. All right, you ready for this? So basically, when I was a kid, when I was a kid, let me get out of here so I can start thinking again. Thank you. When I was a kid, I used to watch hella Pokemon. Like, hella Pokemon. And, like, I know Pokemon is not, like, the only culprit of this. There's a lot of, like, 90s children's television that, in the interest of marketing and selling stuff to you, in hopes of translating their cynical misrepresentations of the nature of friendship and community into bankable dollars, kind of the way a cult leader would. Oh, pew, 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 pew. They essentially caused I essentially came to understand And this was right before I went into captivity, so I didn't have the chance to learn young, right? So I kept this flame alive for too long because I had no chance. Because I was. For those who don't know, I was not allowed to leave my room except for meals, errands, and the occasion. And every 2 weeks we meet with the teacher. It's a charter school thing. Without permission, right? And so I had no friends. You know what I'm saying? And that was not, you know, that it's fine. And me and my mom are tight now, so it's cool. But she's a wonderful woman. She really did her best, and yeah. What I'm really saying is learning that friendship, erroneously learning that friendship is a forever thing, and that relationships are a forever thing, and that they should cause you to feel elated or solve all your problems. And I'll be right there, Hanananj. I just want to finish this thought. I'll be right there. The idea that relationship, right, and by extension community, can solve everything, right? That friendships should last forever, you know. I suppose a lot of people learned that from Disney as well, but it was in terms of, supposedly it was in terms of romantic relationships. But I learned it in terms of friendships. You know, always come through, and that you can believe. Like, no, that's not how friendships work. It's not that it's transactional, but it's a negotiation. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you're there for somebody, they'll be there for you, and that's totally okay. That's real life. That's real shit. If you want to fucking, like, there's loyalty, right? And that's fair, and that's cool. Go in there. Do you. Give of yourself if you have the resource. You know, and have faith in people. That's valuable. What I'm saying is that it's not productive as a person to wait on foolish notions that connection is permanent, because it is not, and it was never designed to be. If connection is, let me put it to you this way, and I hope it drives, it opens some things up for you, like it's opening it up for me as I'm thinking of it. But if friendship is permanent, if connection, I should say, human connection is permanent, then human need doesn't change. Think about, oh, sorry, Hananaj, let me turn off the you-know-whats. Whoops. There we go. Now you can spam to your heart's content. Thank you for participating. But what was I saying? I was literally just saying, I was saying that, like, human need changes along the way. You know, human hearts change, human boundaries change, human decision making, the modes by which you make decisions change. Life has changed. The world changes. And there's nothing about fucking you know, your relationships with other people that is gonna not change any more than you yourself don't change. If you don't change, that's a decision that you're making, and you'd have to fight really hard to make that decision. So I know you know you're making that decision, even if you don't, like, think about it all the time, or you're avoiding it. Like, deep down, you know there is a change that is happening. And if you're terrified of it, that's valid, but that shit is happening. I'm speaking to myself here. But at the same time, like, fucking goddamn, you know, like, I guess what I'm trying to say is, I don't know, like, be honest with yourself and don't hold others to a standard that is impossible. Don't require your community to be your soul. You know what I mean? Like, fucking, you know, back off a little bit. Like, fucking, people are people. People need to live. People need to do things and be separate for a while and be alive and change and move and breathe. And not just because, you know, not for any other reason than because they do and should be allowed to if they want to. You know, and if, I mean, like, maybe I'm fucking wrong. Maybe there's people out there that don't change and don't even choose not to. Like, there's people, like, there's a version of a person out there that doesn't change. Like, you know, I respect that. Like, I don't, like, maybe I'm wrong about any of this. Maybe I am. I respect that. I want to learn things. I just think it's crazy, the difference between the things that I grew up learning, you know, as a traumatized little, you know, I don't know, 9 to 16-year-old boy, terrified of his shadow, and then to look at how far I've come and how much I've learned and the struggles that I've overcome in life. To come to understand that there is water to be had amidst impermanence. There is love amidst the waves. The waves that are here and then gone. You can still gather what you need from them, even if they are in passing. And that's too valuable to forget. I can't afford to forget that, because when I forget that, I lose my ability to adapt to the needs of others. And then defeat my own purpose for being alive. is to divine what's inside of me and see it reflected in others. I mean, I guess I can't speak for anybody else, but I think that's worth reminding ourselves, I guess. Worth reminding myself that that's true. Hanananj says, can you undo my deleted stuff? I wish I knew how. Do you know how? Is there a way? Whoops. I see. Wow, that's awesome. I love that heart. I was addicted to weed, daily user, and I got really sad. Doctor prescribed me to Prozac to treat depression. I got more sad during the COVID lockdowns. It's terrible. And I had a breakdown to my girlfriend and told her I was sneaking it behind her back when she thought I was doing it only one time a week. She made me quit for 2 months. Now I'm happy without using it daily. I still use it, just not every day. Man. So it sounds like you're happy that you had a support system. Is that correct to say? I don't know. Is that like, do you feel like, how do you feel about that? That your girlfriend helped you, or made you quit, as you say. Do you feel good about that? Well then, I'm super happy for you. Like, that's awesome to have a support system. Yeah, and it's, I don't know, it says yes it is, and it's good to live a balanced life. I agree, and especially when you have something, you know, especially when you have somebody in your corner to help you, how do I put this? To help you be your own advocate. Does that make sense? To help you choose the things you wish to choose in spite of the things you want in the moment. If indeed you choose to ask for that. Hanananj says, I don't need anything to feel happy. I create my own happiness. I'm super happy for you, Hanananj. Like, I'm hella happy for you. That's insanely good. I'm really happy for you. Hang on. Whoa. Look how beautiful this is, by the way. This is why I love, just one of my favorite things is just peacefully flying around. Anyway, going back to community, that's another use for community. Hey, back to the theme as well. Tying into that is, that's another use that community has, is to help you stand up when the only thing you want to do is lie down. I experienced that recently. Suffice it to say, depression, feeling like you want to lay down your life. Like, these are things that happen to all of us. And there is such such value, I want to say, in recognizing that struggle in somebody else. But moreover, I mean, in my case, I had people who really were in my corner and really wanted me to succeed, and I still do. There's so much in my life that needs to change. There's my weight, I suppose, although not because of anybody else's gaze, but because I want to live a longer life, and in my case, this is how I perceive my relationship to my own weight. And, due to, what I call my captivity, which is the period of, the 7 years from 9 to 16 that I wasn't allowed to leave my room, and the door was off its hinges and stuff. Like, really, a lot. Like, that period of my life, I missed out. What am I saying? I'm saying that I got derailed for a second. I'm sorry, everybody. Can you remind me what I was saying? I was saying, essentially, that that I have people in my corner, and that's hella valuable, and that, just that I'm happy about it. Whoa, god damn. Did you see that? Did you see that, dude? How did I survive? I just quick thinking, man. Like, whoa, that was so cool. A train fell on me, dude. Look at it. Oh, man. Dude, what? I'm sorry. I just had to... Whoa. That's why I love this fucking game. Just Cause 4, everybody. Go out and buy it right the fuck down. Anyway, what I'm saying is... community. Like, for those who are just joining us, you'll be able to find this episode and every backlog episode at the following link. LINKS. That is Talfcast playlist is the following. The URL at the end of that there. I have some good episodes up. 3 and 4 are my favorites, I would say. But I think this is my new favorite episode, I gotta say. This is probably my new favorite. But there's a lot of really good content in there. I have an album demo if you're interested in hearing some of my music. I'm a graphic artist, budding, but I'm very proud of what I've been able to accomplish. Hi, Jonas Jeffus. Hey, I was just breaking it down for how people can take a look at the backlog of episodes that I have. This episode is going to be going up here probably tonight, and then that'll be available. I am a rap artist, if anybody doesn't know that, known as the Paladin, a friend of Jane the Message, and many others in the Bay Area. And what I'm looking for, and of course, before I forget, PXN Now, don't listen to that. We don't do it on Wednesdays. We do it only on Sundays. This streamcast happens only on Sundays because I have discovered in the interim that I run out of things to say if I do it twice a week, as you can imagine. But I would love to continue to have these conversations with you if you'd like to join me on this journey. Kind of discover more about how we feel and what we think, about what's inside of us, and the dynamics of that, the social dynamics of that, the internal dynamics of that, the vision that we have for our lives, the way that we play into that for one another as people, as a human race, I say. And overall, I'm just stoked to be able to share these moments. Thank you for the opportunity to share this moment with you. Once again, I'm the Paladin, and I guess this is probably a good place to end it. Once again, also I do a freestyle rap RPG that I invented with my friend Only One Ronan. You can find that at twitch.tv/skillcheckofficial, and that happens at 5 p.m. every Sunday. And then I do talk about our feelings at 10. And yeah, I mean, I just am feeling this moment right now. And then we'll end when we're ready to end. Thank you. That means the world to me, Jeffus. I really appreciate that. Thank you for reflecting that back to me. And your input has really put some things, kind of blew my mind actually a couple of times. I was really excited to hear your input about it. And that would go for anybody out there who would love to join in and hop in, but you don't have to. I'm just, there's, like I said, it's a matter of understanding where the boundaries are. And that anybody can set any boundary for any time and at any time, and that it need not be about us. That it's almost always not about us, but about the person, and that they need not justify it. Boundaries need not be justified to others. They need only be respected. With that, I leave you. Good night, everyone. Sweet dreams, and I hope to see you next Sunday. Every once in a while, you'll find me on here doing a nice stream of a game that I like called Dead Cells. Just whenever. Normally it's no commentary, but that's only because I can't really focus very well without... Yeah, for sure. I can't really focus very well. Thank you for coming, Jeffus. Take care. I can't really focus very well on the many different aspects of the game, Dead Cells specifically, without losing everything. I'll get sidetracked, and then there you go. But that said, I I will occasionally do a commentary one, but it's usually just lo-fi. Lo-fi Dead Cells, and then of course sometimes I like to throw in like a dark synth, because I like the aggression of it. It goes well with the flavor of like Dead Cells, and then I'll get weird with it every once in a blue moon. But if you've got like music suggestions for me, usually in a playlist form, I would absolutely take them, no question. When I say no commentary streams, I really mean no verbal commentary, but I'm all about the chatting. I just kind of want to provide the musical vibes along with the visualization of the game. I've gotten up to 4x difficulty on that darn thing. I'm very proud of myself. It represents over a year of hard grinding. That came out so wrong, yet so right. No, I'm sorry. All right, it's time to go. All right. Well, good night. All the best. Hope to see you next week. And if I see you later during Dead Cells, I'd love that as well. Come text chat with me and hang out and do vibes. See me fail and try to be amazing. Be intermittently amazing and fail. Is usually the prescription. Good night, everyone.